Space endless, silent, and ancient. For thousands of years, the Galactic Union believed they had already discovered the most dangerous species in the universe. They had faced warrior races, machine civilizations, and even predators that could survive in vacuum. But nothing prepared them for humans. Humans were new. Too new. Only 50 years had passed since Earth discovered faster-than-light travel. To the older civilizations, humanity looked primitive, emotional, unpredictable. The Union called them a young species, a harmless one. That mistake would soon cost them everything. Far beyond the solar system, a massive alien fleet floated in dark space. Hundreds of ships, their commander, High Marshal Kravix, watched the blue planet slowly rotate on the holographic display. Primitive world, Kravix hissed. His four glowing eyes scanned the data. Only one star system. Limited fleet. Weak planetary defenses. One of his officers bowed slightly. Commander, intelligence reports humans are unpredictable. Kravix laughed. Unpredictable does not mean powerful. The order was simple. Conquer Earth. Add humanity to the Union as a controlled species, another civilization under their rule. Meanwhile, on Earth, inside the United Planetary Defense Command, alarms suddenly exploded across the command center. Red lights flashed everywhere. Unknown fleet detected. Multiple warp signatures. Size, over 300 ships. The room fell silent. General Marcus Hale stepped forward. Origin, unknown, but they are heading directly for Earth. Everyone understood what that meant. Invasion. For the first time in human history, Earth was about to face an alien army. Across the planet, governments activated emergency protocols. Military fleets launched, orbital cannons powered up, satellites repositioned. But deep under the Pacific Ocean, hidden beneath kilometers of reinforced steel and rock, there was something far more dangerous that a facility almost no one knew about. The War Gate. For decades, humanity had been quietly preparing for a war they hoped would never come. But humans had one advantage no alien civilization understood. Humans were born on a death world, the planet filled with storms, predators, disasters, and chaos. Survival was written into their DNA, and humans never fought fair. Back in orbit, Kravix's fleet exited hyperspace. The blue planet Earth filled their view. Beautiful, peaceful, defenseless. Kravix smiled. Begin invasion protocol. But before the alien ships could fire their first shot, something impossible happened. Deep in Earth's ocean, the War Gate activated. A massive ring structure began to glow. Energy flooded through the ancient machine. Then space itself started to tear open. One of Kravix's officers gasped. Commander, massive energy signature detected. Kravix frowned. What kind of weapon is that? The officer's voice trembled. I don't think it's a weapon. Suddenly, the tear in space expanded, and from the darkness beyond it, a warship appeared, but it wasn't human. It was far larger, far older, and it wasn't alone. Another ship followed, then another, then hundreds, then thousands. Kravix stared in horror. Impossible, the officer whispered. Commander, those ships aren't from this galaxy. On Earth, General Hale watched the same thing on a screen. He nodded slowly. Good. Open the rest of the gates. Because the aliens attacking Earth had made a terrible mistake. They thought they were invading a young species. They didn't realize humanity had already made alliances beyond their galaxy. And now, the reinforcements had arrived. The alien fleet went completely silent. Thousands of enormous ships were now emerging from the glowing rift above Earth. Ships larger than anything the Galactic Union had ever built. Dark metallic hulls, ancient symbols glowing across their surfaces. Each one looked like a floating fortress. High Marshal Kravix felt something he had not felt in centuries. Fear. Identify those ships, he shouted. His officers scrambled. Sensors scanned the unknown fleet again and again. But the results made no sense. Commander, their technology is far beyond ours. How far? The officer hesitated. Possibly thousands of years. Kravix slammed his claw into the command console. That's impossible. Humans only discovered space travel 50 years ago. But the data refused to change. Meanwhile, on Earth, inside the underground command bunker, General Marcus Hale calmly watched the alien fleet. The room was quiet. Everyone knew what was about to happen, that a young officer finally asked the question, "Sir, should we warn the aliens?" The general shook his head. They had their chance. He looked at the giant screen where the ancient fleet continued to emerge from the war gate. Humanity had discovered the gate 20 years ago during a deep ocean mining project. First scientists thought it was an alien relic. But after years of research, they realized something incredible, that it was a gateway to another galaxy. And on the other side, there were civilizations far older than anything in the Milky Way. Civilizations that had once faced extinction. Civilizations humanity had helped. And those civilizations had never forgotten. Back in orbit, the unknown fleet suddenly stopped moving. Then a single massive warship moved forward. It was bigger than Kravix's flagship. Far bigger. A transmission signal suddenly appeared. "Commander, they're contacting us." Kravix narrowed his eyes. "Put on screen." The bridge went dark. Then a massive alien figure appeared on the holographic display. Tall, armored, eyes glowing like stars. The creature spoke slowly. Its voice echoed through every alien ship. "You have entered protected space." Kravix snarled. "This system belongs to the Galactic Union." The alien figure remained silent for a moment. Then it asked one simple question. "Did you attack the humans?" Kravix lifted his head proudly. "We are about to conquer them." The alien's glowing eyes suddenly burned brighter. The temperature inside the bridge seemed to drop. Then the alien said something that made every officer freeze. "You have made the same mistake others once made." Kravix leaned forward. "And what mistake is that?" The alien commander answered calmly. "You thought humans were alone." Suddenly, thousands of new signals appeared on Kravix's sensors. Even more ships. Entire fleets surrounding the alien armada. One officer screamed, "Commander, we're surrounded." Kravix's claws trembled. "How many ships?" The officer's voice shook. "Over 20,000. The bridge went silent. 20,000 warships. Every one of them more advanced than anything the Galactic Union possessed. And they were all aligned with Earth. Back in the Human Command Center, General Hale crossed his arms. Status report. Alliance fleets fully deployed. Enemy fleet surrounded. The young officer looked stunned. "Sir, do we really have this many allies?" Hale smiled slightly. "You'd be surprised how many civilizations humans helped when nobody else would." Back in orbit, the alien commander appeared again on the screen. His voice was now colder. "Leave this system immediately." Kravix's pride would not allow it. "We will not retreat from primitives." The alien commander slowly turned his head. Then he gave one quiet order. "Then the lesson begins." And suddenly, every warship around the alien fleet powered its weapons. Thousands of glowing cannons aimed directly at Kravix's armada. The invasion of Earth had just turned into something far worse than a galactic war. For a moment, space itself seemed to freeze. 20,000 warships surrounded the invading fleet of the Galactic Union. Kravix stared at the tactical screen. Red dots everywhere. His ships completely surrounded, but his pride refused to accept defeat. "We will not retreat," he growled. "Charge the weapons." One of his officers turned in shock. "Commander, their fleet is 10 times larger than ours." Kravix's voice became cold. "Then we destroy their command ship first." The alien fleet immediately began charging their plasma cannons. Blue energy gathered along the hulls of hundreds of ships. Inside the Human Command Center on Earth, alarms suddenly rang. Enemy weapons charging. General Marcus Hale watched calmly. "Alliance fleets?" "Ready, sir." Hale nodded. "Let them fire first." Back in orbit, Kravix raised his claw. "Fire." Hundreds of alien warships unleashed their weapons as a storm of plasma bolts tore through space toward the massive Alliance fleet. The explosions were blinding. Energy waves spread across the battlefield. For a moment, Kravix believed they had succeeded. Then the smoke cleared, and the impossible happened. The giant warships were still there. Not a single one destroyed. Their shields had absorbed everything. An officer whispered in terror. "Commander, Their shields are beyond our technology. Before Kravix could respond, the Alliance fleet answered. Thousands of cannons lit up at once. Golden beams of energy shot across space. The first alien destroyer was cut in half instantly. Another ship exploded seconds later. Then another. The battlefield became a storm of fire on Earth. Soldiers watched the battle from giant holographic screens. Human fleets had also launched from orbit. But compared to the Alliance ships, human warships looked small. A young officer asked quietly, "Sir, are we even needed in this fight?" General Hale looked at the screen. "Oh yes." He pointed at a signal on the display. The center of the alien fleet, Kravix's flagship. That ship carries the invasion command. If it escapes, the war continues. The officer understood immediately. You want humans to take it? Hale smiled slightly. Exactly. Back in space, the battle was chaos. Alien ships exploded everywhere. Alliance fleets advanced like unstoppable giants. Kravix's breathing became faster. Status report. 40% of the fleet destroyed. Shields collapsing. Another explosion shook the flagship. An officer shouted, "Commander, new ships approaching." Kravix turned out on the sensor display. A smaller fleet was moving toward them. Human ships, fast, aggressive. Dozens of sleek black warships racing straight toward the flagship. One officer panicked. "Commander, they are ignoring the battle. They're coming directly for us." Kravix hissed, "Destroy them." Alien defense turrets opened fire. Laser beams filled the darkness, but the human ships moved like predators. They dodged the attacks with impossible speed. Two alien cruisers exploded as human torpedoes struck their engines. Within seconds, the human fleet reached the flagship. Inside the human lead ship, Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge, target locked. Enemy flagship shields weakening. Her crew waited. Prepare boarding teams. One soldier grinned. Finally. Explosions ripped across the alien flagship as human missiles struck its shields. The protective barrier flickered, then collapsed. Elena gave the order, "Launch." 5 boarding pods shot toward the massive alien vessel. They slammed into the hull like bullets. Metal burned as cutting lasers opened entry points. Inside the flagship, Kravix's officers suddenly screamed, "Commander!" Unknown objects attached to the hull. Before Kravix could react, the doors of the bridge exploded. Smoke filled the room. And through the smoke, human soldiers stepped inside. Armored, weapons glowing. Fearless, Kravix slowly stood up. "You dare board my ship?" One human soldier removed his helmet. A calm smile appeared on his face. "Yeah, we do that." And the real fight had just begun. Smoke slowly filled the bridge of the alien flagship. The massive doors had been blown apart. Metal fragments were scattered across the floor, and through the burning entrance, 5 human soldiers stepped inside. Their armor was black, scratched from battle. Weapons glowing with charged energy. Behind them, more explosions echoed through the enormous ship as human boarding teams spread across the corridors. High Marshal Kravix stood from his command throne, his massive claws tightened. "You dare enter my ship?" The human soldier at the front calmly removed his helmet. Her name was Captain Elena Voss, and she looked completely fearless. She glanced around the alien bridge. "So this is the brain of the invasion." Kravix snarled, "You are insects." Elena smiled slightly. "Funny, every alien empire says that before they lose." Outside the flagship, the battle in space had turned into a massacre. The Alliance fleets were destroying the remaining alien ships one by one, and entire cruisers were being cut apart by energy beams. Explosions lit the darkness like distant stars. Within minutes, half of the Galactic Union fleet was gone, and the rest were trying desperately to escape. But the Alliance fleets had already sealed every route, and O1 was leaving. Back inside the alien flagship, Kravix's guards suddenly attacked Point 6 armored. Alien warriors rushed toward the humans. Their weapons fired rapid plasma blasts, but the human soldiers moved instantly. Point 1 rolled behind a control station. Another fired a pulse rifle. The first alien guard fell to the ground at a second alien charged with a glowing blade, But Elena stepped forward and fired once. The alien collapsed instantly. Within seconds, all the guards were down. The bridge was silent again. Only Kravix remained. The alien commander stared at the humans in disbelief. You're just one species. Elena slowly walked toward him. Yes. But humans have a bad habit. Kravix growled. And what habit is that? Elena stopped a few steps away. We make friends. Suddenly alarms screamed across the alien ship. One of Kravix's officers shouted in panic. Commander, the outer fleet is gone. Kravix turned to the tactical screen. His eyes widened. The Galactic Union Armada had been destroyed, every single ship. Only the flagship remained. Kravix felt the weight of defeat, but his pride refused to break. You may win today, human, but the Union controls thousands of systems. Elena tilted her head. Not for long. She pointed toward the main screen. Outside the window, the Alliance fleets were gathering. Thousands of warships surrounding the flagship, and behind them, more fleets were arriving. Entire civilizations, allies of humanity. Kravix whispered slowly, How many species did you bring with you? Elena answered calmly, Enough to end this war. At that moment, General Marcus Hale appeared on the flagship's communication screen. He looked directly at Kravix. This invasion is over. Kravix's voice became quiet. What will you do with us? Hale didn't hesitate. That depends on you. Order your empire to stand down, or watch it collapse. The alien commander stared at the human soldiers surrounding him. For the first time, he truly understood the mistake they had made. They had attacked a species that the entire galaxy trusted and protected. Slowly, Kravix lowered his claws. I will send the order. Across the battlefield, the remaining alien ships powered down their weapons. The invasion had ended. But something far bigger had begun, because now, the galaxy had seen what happened when someone attacked humanity. The battlefield slowly became quiet. Thousands of destroyed alien ships floated silently in space. Burning fragments drifted through the darkness like falling stars. The once proud fleet of the Galactic Union was gone, completely destroyed. Only one ship remained, the flagship of High Marshal Kravix, and it was surrounded by thousands of warships from dozens of civilizations. Inside the alien flagship, Kravix stood silently in front of the communication console. For the first time in his long military career, he had lost completely. Behind him, Captain Elena Voss and the human soldiers watched carefully. Kravix slowly activated the long-range transmitter. The signal spread across hundreds of star systems. Every commander of the Galactic Union received the same message. Kravix took a deep breath. Then he spoke. This is High Marshal Kravix. The invasion of Earth has failed. Silence filled the room. Then he continued. All fleets are ordered to stand down. No attacks against humanity or their allies will continue. His voice grew heavier. Any commander who ignores this order will face total annihilation. The transmission ended. For a moment, no one spoke. Back on Earth, inside the United Planetary Defense Command, the room erupted in cheers. Soldiers hugged each other. Officers laughed in relief. The war had ended before it truly began. General Marcus Hale remained calm, but even he allowed himself a small smile. Status? A young officer answered quickly. All enemy fleets across nearby sectors are retreating. Alliance fleets holding position. The officer paused. Sir, the war is over. Hale nodded slowly. Yes, but the message will last longer than the battle. Back in orbit, the massive Alliance fleets slowly began to move. Some ships returned through the war gate. Others stayed near Earth as protection. The giant alien commander who had first spoken to Kravix appeared again on the holographic screen of the flagship. His glowing eyes looked toward Captain Elena Voss. You fought well, human. Elena crossed her arms. Thanks for showing up. The alien commander gave a slow nod. Humans once helped our people survive extinction. We do not forget such debts. Elena smiled. Neither do we. High Marshal Kravix watched the conversation silently. He finally understood something important. Humans were not the strongest species in the galaxy, not the oldest, not the most advanced, but they had something far more powerful: trust. Across the stars, countless civilizations respected humanity, because whenever someone needed help, Humans had answered, and now, those civilizations had returned the favor. Before leaving the flagship, Elena stopped in front of Kravix. You know, she said calmly, this didn't have to happen. Kravix looked down at her. You are weaker than most species. Elena shrugged slightly. Maybe, but humans learned something a long time ago. What? She smiled. Strength isn't about fighting alone. Then she placed her helmet back on and walked out of the bridge. Days later, across the galaxy, news of the battle spread. Every empire heard the same story. A powerful fleet had tried to conquer Earth, and in response, half the galaxy had arrived to defend it. After that day, no one ever called humanity weak again, because the galaxy finally understood something important, that if you attacked humans, you weren't fighting one species, you were fighting everyone who trusted them. And that was a war no empire could ever win.